You're one of the people out there that is skeptical and has some resistance to the idea that a toilet dream could be meaningful to anybody or provide insight into their inner psychic reality, things like their libido, their drives, their emotions, and the context of the life that they have. I sympathize with you, but suspend your disbelief a bit. I know it doesn't seem like the great psychoanalysts of the past, like Jung or Freud, would be interested in analyzing anybody's toilet dreams. But stick with us. We're going to go over some dreams, talk about some concepts, and look at some statistics that might change your mind. Either way, this is going to be a shit show. I really believe that one of modern man's growing problems is the fact that he does not see the utility of the messages of his own unconscious mind. He sees no utility in analyzing dreams, interpreting them, dreaming at all. It's nonsense and it's garbage. It's neurons firing off in your brain. We understand the science, we understand the process, but we have lost the meaning. We don't even know why we dream anymore. But it's pretty clear to the Jungian community and to those of us who do analyze our dreams. The dream is a message directly from your unconscious and will often state in a compensatory manner a imbalance that is happening in your psyche, repressions that are happening in your life. If you were to listen to these dream messages, maybe you become a more developed person, more well-rounded, charismatic. Maybe you would live life at its maximum capacity and expand your consciousness. Maybe you would be fully human. That is the potential that is latent in these unconscious messages, the potential to grow. I analyze people's dreams, even at work, and I have this reputation that I like them, and I will give you a free interpretation if you come to me. And people humor me, really. They think it's kind of fun that I do that, but they don't think it's serious. They think I'll give them some woo-woo thing. So they'll say, hey, you're that kid who likes dreams, right? They say, oh, I had this crazy one, man. You want to hear it? And I go, yeah. And as they present their dream, as we talk about it, as we chip away at some of the latent symbolism, by the end, we're both more serious about it. And I hit something. We hit and crack open the meaning of the dream, why they had it, what the compensation was, or what the conflict was of the dream, and what's happening. And intuitively, we both know that something meaningful happened. We both know that I hit something that they weren't ready for, right? And I do this gently. We're not trying to like mess with people. They don't understand how serious that this can be, how deep and profound and blunt those dreams are, how they reach deep into the soul. And after I give them the interpretation and we both know something happened, they put up a wall, right? And what they say a lot of times is something like this. Oh, well, yeah, the dream could mean that, what you're saying. But, a lot of us dream of like flying or their teeth falling out. So therefore, we all have this dream and it's weird. So therefore, I don't think that dreams mean anything. Oh, well. And just like that, all the work we did is gone. I want to address that argument because it's a terrible argument if you think about it. We all dream of our teeth falling out? Yes, we do. Why? Why is that symbol so specific? And why are we dreaming about it? That reveals not insignificance, but significance, big significance. toilet dreams are one of those dreams. And when I say one of those dreams, I'm talking about when Inside Out went through the dream production studio and they have all of these very classic best hit dreams that we share on their wall. Toilet dreams are one of them. You know that 48% of us watching this video have had a toilet dream. I'm getting that number from 3 polls that we did on different subreddits. Thank you for all of you guys who voted and gave me feedback, both negative and positive. It really helped me to know what I needed to address in this video to get points across. And, I have stories to share from you guys now. Also, a quick qualification. Someone pointed out, dude, you have a toilet dream about needing to pee because you actually need to pee. That's why you have the dream. And yes, you're right, but you're only half right. And this video is very much besides the point that you can induce a toilet dream by drinking a gallon of water before you go to sleep. The point that we're making is that you don't control anything about what you dream. You might not even have a toilet dream if you drink a gallon of water before you go to bed. You don't control the context, the symbolism, the dream that will be produced. The unconscious mind is not going to waste, it's not going to waste time creating a dream. It's going to make something meaningful, and it's going to pull out from within you a message. Let's kick things off with some credibility. In Jung's collected works in this book, he has a toilet dream analysis. Just so you guys aren't too sketched out. So I'm going to read this dream to you. This is a young man. He came to Jung, and Jung is trying to demonstrate how to analyze a dream. So here's his dream. He was in a little room, and he was seated next to a Pope Pius, whose features were far more handsome than they are in reality, which surprised the dreamer. He saw on one side of a room a great apartment with a table, sumptuously laid, and a crowd of ladies in evening dress. Suddenly, he felt the need to urinate, and he went out. On his return, the need was repeated. He went out again, and this happened several times. Finally, he woke up, needing to urinate. So, our first toilet dream. Now, Jung points out that the dreamer, who was very intelligent, argued vigorously against the existence of any components of great individual significance in this dream. It's just a toilet dream, right? I had to pee, that was it. But Jung did not stop there. He analyzed it. And I won't read to you his full analysis. You guys can do that. But a few things he points out. In this video, we'll talk about some of Freud's things. So Jung himself referenced one of Freud's ideas about condensation. And a condensation in a dream is basically a condensed symbol that includes a few different ideas. So the Pope was that condensation, and the Pope is a celibate person. Okay. And the dreamer was seated next to him, so he was comparing himself to the Pope. In other words, he was the Pope. And the main message is that he was celibate. The other element that Jung looked at and analyzed was the women in the room and the sumptuously dressed table, as the young man puts it. So when he interviewed his patient, he found out that the young man had once been at a wedding ceremony where he saw these little tables. So that's the first symbol, that's where it comes from. It was freely associated to that time at a wedding. And the young man was participating in the wedding ceremony. So was this little girl that he had a crush on. It didn't turn out good for him because during the ceremony, he really had to pee. And he couldn't because he was participating and he could just walk away. He pissed himself in front of all these people, but especially the little girl he liked. And that gave him a great sense of shame and embarrassment. And what do you know? That little girl was associated with one of the women that were in his dream. The other women happened to be women that he pursued, but failed at, obviously. He didn't get their attention. So what is the message of the dream? And what did Jung come up with? Well, It's pretty obvious if you tie all the little symbols together. We have a celibate priest, a wedding ceremony association where he had a sexual failure and embarrassed himself in front of a woman that he liked. So, sexual failure and celibacy. That's the theme of this toilet dream. Now, that's important to me because the theme of this video is going to be about libido and the blockage of libido. When it's not properly expressed, we have a toilet dream. Let's define libido so we all know what we're talking about. This is Carl Jung, and I'm going to read several quotes from several different paragraphs. First of all psychological phenomena can be considered as manifestations of energy. Subjectively and psychologically, this energy is conceived as desire. I call it libido, using the word in its original sense, which is by no means only sexual. Next quote, libido denotes a desire or impulse which is unchecked by any kind of authority, moral or otherwise. It's going to get important in a different part of the video. Libido is appetite in its natural state. From the genetic point of view, it is bodily needs like hunger, thirst, sleep, and sex, and emotional states or effects, which can constitute the essence of libido. And our final quote, the libido has, as it were, a natural penchant. It is like water, which must have a gradient if it is to flow. I want to share with you guys a very personal story and a toilet dream that I had myself. I want to give you the context of the dream because you'll understand why I had the dream. And it's going to get a little bit religious. So if you are religious and you're watching this, that's great. And this channel is friendly. It's important that you have your beliefs. But my experience is a very, very negative one. And I can't deny some of the things that happened to me when I was a part of this religion. I was a missionary for 2 years. And it was undeniably an incredibly sexually repressive time of my life. And not just sexually, but my libido was cut off in every direction. So, like, we didn't watch TV, we didn't play video games, we didn't go to the mall, you didn't talk to girls, you didn't date girls. I did not talk to my family, save it be via email, on one day of the week, every week. We worked all the time, and that's what I did for 2 years. You have somebody with you at all the time that you don't choose. They're put with you. The only time you're ever alone is when you go to the bathroom, when you go to the toilet. So, that kind of significant. You're in an organization full of other missionaries, and you're all watching each other, and you're all helping each other keep the rules because there's, a great deal of emphasis on keeping the rules, these dogmatic rules. So that's the context. Now let me tell you the dream that surfaced from that repressive time. In the dream, I was in this weird building. I was sitting in a chair. It was a padded chair. And immediately it reminded me of the chairs that are outside of a bishop's office. And in this religion, you wait until the bishop calls you in, and then you and him alone discuss some very personal questions about your sexuality. And to make it oversimplified, if you don't answer the questions right and you're not worthy, as they put it, you are punished socially and you are somewhat ostracized. So you can't answer the questions wrong. They ask you, do you masturbate? Have you looked at pornography? Now, obviously, to those of you who aren't religious, these aren't things that you really worry about. That's that's literally a part of puberty, and that is absolutely true. But that's not what these people believed, and they want you to repress it. So, back to the dream, I was in the chair. The partner who was stuck with me, he was looking at me, and he had a glass eye that was a different color, and he was staring very oddly like this, like, hello. And I was looking at him like, hey. And I had to pee incredibly bad. And I realized that I was waiting in line to pee. So these chairs were a line, and I looked up, and all along the room there were these cardboard boxes, and there was all these missionaries coming in and out of the cardboard boxes at the command of the mission leader, the bishop, you could say. At the top, he was at a podium, and he was overlooking all of us and pointing and telling you, go here, go there. So it was my turn, and I went to this cardboard box, and there was a hole in the bottom of it. And I knelt down to that hole, and I tried to pee, but I was being watched by the mission leader. He was looking over me. And as I was kneeling, I thought to myself, this is a cardboard confession. And that was the toilet dream. So an odd toilet, a cardboard toilet, and this general theme of you're being watched, you're being told where to go. After listening to the Jung analysis of this other dream, my dream meaning becomes clearer. I was suppressed. My sexuality was not in my own hands. I was at the mercy of the institution I was serving for 2 years. And you can't just walk away from it. There's a great deal of shame that comes along if you do. I felt that if I had any privacy at all, that the privacy would be this little room, this little box, and that the walls were paper thin, cardboard paper thin. I had no privacy. I had no sexuality. My libido and the sexual person that I was completely confined and controlled. And that's where this dream comes from. You know what that dream means. I want to take a quick little break and talk about some of the statistics we did from the poll, just to liven things up before we jump into another dream. But when we did our poll, came back that 76 males had not ever had a toilet dream, while 63 had. For females, 32 females voted they had never had a toilet dream, and 36 had. So that's really cool. And it came out, again, when I added all the numbers together, that about 48% of males and females have had a toilet dream. Also, before we go on to the next dream, this picture here it kind of highlights what we want to extract out of the next dream, and especially as we talk about Freud and his ideas and theories about sexuality. So in this photo, it's a bit of a meme, but there's a girl likes a K-pop boy band thing, I don't know, but shirt flies off, she gets horny, and she pees. So we have this connection between sexuality and needing to pee in a person that's not even dreaming. So that's relevant to Freud, because Freud talked about psychosexual development, and that if at any point along the way as you're maturing, going through childhood, you get stuck in a sexual phase, your libido gets stuck and it's blocked, that you develop a fixation and you start to display odd behaviors. There's oral people, anal people, phallic people. These ideas have also, I don't want to say they're old and outdated, but certainly the more modern psychology has taken what Freud had, which is an immense, wealth of knowledge, and they've expanded upon it. So with this next dream, we're going to talk about the Freudian concepts and how this meme picture, this dream, they all bring a certain aspect of his psychosexual theory into light. This dream is from a person who will remain anonymous. They didn't want me to share any information about them for obvious reasons, because it's going to get sexual, and we'll protect their identity. So we'll just call this person James. But James came to me and gave me a very good description of this dream he had. So it starts off, he's at high school, and he's with other boys his age, and they're friends. And they're all talking, and they start walking to the bathroom. Now, there's a boys' bathroom and there's another door that it's also a boys' bathroom. But as they're walking, I think there was like 4 of the other boys, they walked into the normal bathroom, and James didn't follow them. He went into his own bathroom, and he opened it up, went in, and he was shocked because inside of that room, he said it was dark, and the first thing he noticed was along the top of the walls there was that ABC chart, that you learn in kindergarten, and it was a kindergarten classroom. It had the children's paintings and stuff on the wall, and in the middle of the room was this very small, like a very small stage, or just a step up, and it had a toilet sitting in the middle of it. And at the back of the room, there was a teacher, and she looked at him and welcomed him in. And he said he was gonna go use the toilet, but then he switched his attention to this teacher, and she looked odd. He said she was old, and she had this weird, she looked like Momo, kind of like an old Momo, and she was like a dwarf. And what's very interesting, I'll break a little bit from the story. As I was looking for images to put into the video, I had a synchronicity where here it is, boom, Momo coming out of a toilet. That is crazy. So I know this video is important. We got synchronicities going on. Anyways, moving on. This Momo teacher lady gets up and starts walking towards him, and she's like, "Aren't you going to use the toilet?" And he's like backing up like, "Whoa, I don't know, this doesn't seem right." And she morphs into a demon. He said, but the demon was like this little gremlin thing that came to about this size, and it leaped at him, and he said he caught it like this as it was leaping. So he's holding it, and it's trying to reach out and snap at him. And he said as he's holding it, lotion started to drip out of his hands, like it was secreting it like a mucus. And that was the end of the dream. Okay, so pretty interesting dream. And to me, I was like, I'm using this awesome material because it's easy to analyze. So here we have a boy, and it's showing the psychosexual stages of development, his sexual stages. Most boys go to the bathroom to relieve themselves. Now, I guess we should talk about the toilet symbolism again. A toilet is a place where you relieve yourself. And if you think about what you're relieving yourself of, it's things that you've digested and you need to pass on. But when you don't pass that energy on, you create a blockage. So that's the symbol of the toilet. Now, the other thing about the toilet, you think about it, is it's dirty. It's a dirty place. So, in his dream, the boys are going to relieve themselves. And since we're talking about libido, we're going to say they're going to relieve themselves sexually. And they're on a good, normal path that most boys follow. However, James went into this separate classroom that was his own separate bathroom. And he was stuck at a kindergarten level. It was a kindergarten room with a toilet supervised by this maternal Momo witch lady. So you have this interesting development between the stage of psychosexual development he's stuck on and maybe fixated at. And if you bring in the fungioid, the Jungian aspect, you see the anima who has become this witch and is possessing him. That's also why she's a demon. But you have this maternal problem. From a Freudian perspective, you might even say he has an Oedipus complex. That's a totally different video, but she morphs into a phallus, a demon phallus. That's why he's holding it like this and it's dripping lotion. So it's illustrating a conflict between him needing to relieve himself and his fixation and his blockage stuck at an infantile phase dealing with masturbation specifically. Probably he was stuck at the phallic stage. Well, if you've watched this far, you probably have your own opinion, and I want to know about it. I just created the JUNGR subreddit, so go to it, join, and start commenting. If you guys want to talk about your experiences with toilet dreams or the patterns you've noticed, I want to know. Do they affirm or deny what we've talked about today? Also, if you have video suggestions or inquiries, questions for me, go there, and I'm modding on it, so you can just message me. But I want to grow a little community, and we want to get bigger. I'm going to do videos every week, hopefully, or every 2 weeks. So there's going to be a continuous flow of good content, and we want to facilitate that, especially with the Reddit. In conclusion, I know that dreams are symbolic. I know that the personal symbolism is the most important thing, as Jung said. But I think that generally we can see certain patterns in certain types of dreams, and the toilet dream suggests that there is a libidinal connection with the flow and the blockage of sexual energy. If you agree with me, if you disagree, leave a comment below, and thank you for participating.